Hello, my name is Miko Reed and welcome to the Miko Music channel. So today I wanted to do a video, it's long overdue, I wanted to do a video on tips for being a successful giggy musician, and these are my 13 tips on being a successful giggy musician, and this applies to people that do live performances, who, whether it's original music, whether it's cover bands, in a concert venue ranging from like maybe you have an audience of 3 members all the way up to, I don't know, stadium of 10,000 people. This can apply to anybody. Tip number 1, don't do low-paying gigs or free gigs. You know why? Right off the bat, this only applies to seasoned musicians in my opinion, because the thing is that when you take a low-paying gig or free gig, what you're doing is you're hurting the market value, the market price for other musicians that you're in competition with trying to get these gigs. You're trying to get gigs in casinos, you're trying to get gigs in public venues, you're competing with them to get gigs in restaurants, and what you're doing is you're depleting the value of your worth. If you spent thousands and thousands of dollars on your equipment, on your speakers, on your amps, on your guitar, on your drum sets, on your horn, and cords, cables, your PA system, etc., that all adds up. That is worth something, and this applies to people. Think about it. You went to school, you spent thousands of dollars to get your degrees, your bachelor's degrees, your certificates, your license, your master's degrees. You teach for a living, so that requires purchasing software. Also, it requires purchasing other things that you might have materials available for your students to use, paying for your website, paying for microphones, paying for Pro Tools to edit your recordings. Everything adds up. So you have to know your worth. When I first started out, I think taking $100 gigs, or not free gigs, but $100 gigs is fine, because you're first starting out, you have to get your foot in the door. That's like an entry level thing. I think those are, in situations like that is fine, because you're trying to get your feet wet, you're trying to get in the door, you're first starting out, so you got to take what's available. You got to take small baby steps. You can't automatically apply for a job when you're straight out of college and think that you're gonna apply for a job that's like CEO. That doesn't happen. Trying to get in the door, so of course taking the $100 gigs and the lower paying gigs are fine, because you're just starting out being a professional musician. After that, I think a window of like 5 years, less than that, maybe about a year to 3 years, you should increase your price. You always increase your price because your value just went up. You're more of an experienced musician or singer, performer. You gain more contacts. You've gained more experience playing live, performing with different bands in different genres, different cover bands. People have recorded you. You have more things and more skills that you can put under your belt. You said, I performed. We opened up a show for, I don't know, some band. We opened up a show for Sublime. I can't think of anything. We opened up a show we were the opener for Paramore. We're the opener for Gladys Knight. So you have all those things under your belt. So now you have something that's, your value has increased, your worth has increased. So it's okay. I'm going to increase my price. Now I'm worth $175 to $200 for a 3-hour show on a cover band or an original band. That's my opinion. There's exceptions to the rule with not doing $100 gigs. The thing is with doing the $100 gigs and the free gigs is that you're decreasing your value. I wanted to get more into that because, full disclosure, these bars and these restaurants, they don't care about your band. They don't give a crap about your band. They don't care about the music. They don't think you're talented. They don't care. Even if you are talented, they're not paying attention. The number one goal of a restaurant manager or owner or people that are working there is to get people to buy alcohol, to buy drinks, to buy food, to buy appetizers. That is it. That is their number one priority. And if it takes a band to meet those goals, and it takes getting a band or a musician in there to bring people in the doors, buying tickets, because they know when they bring more people are going to likely buy more alcohol, more drinks, more appetizers, more food. They'll do that. They'll bring a clown in if that's going to bring 1,000 people in there to buy, because they know those 1,000 people, somebody out of those thousands of people in the door is going to purchase some beer, alcohol, mixed drinks, cocktails, buy food, whatever. That's all they care about. They don't care about your band. They don't care about your music. They don't care about you. So that's the full disclosure. They really don't care. they're polite, but they have a different agenda. Their agenda is the restaurant comes first. It's not the band comes first. Now, as musicians, that hurts to hear that, but that's the truth. Yeah, we like to think that everybody's a fan of our music. Everyone's a fan of our skills and our guitar playing and our drumming and our horn playing and our singing. Not necessarily. They might think that you're talented, but they don't care, because their job is the restaurant comes first, to keep the restaurant doors open, to get their restaurant workers paid, to keep the money coming in, keep the restaurant going, pay for the food, everything else that it takes to keep a restaurant afloat, and make sure that the owner's happy, the customers are happy, and business is good. So with that said, that's where they're coming from. They have a lot of options because it's musicians. We know we're in an oversaturated market. There's a new band starting every month. There's always a band right around the corner. There's more bands than there are venues to play, especially after the COVID shutdown, after quarantine. It seemed like some venues never opened up, and it seems like there's less gigs now that are available than there are musicians and bands to perform. It seems like now there's more. It's like almost like it's a frenzy now. It's like a desperation almost. You can feel it in the air. It's like the competition is fierce. Competition is fierce because for every, I would say, probably, I'm not even accurate with this, for every 20 bands, every 20 cover bands, 20 original bands, there's one venue that has live music. So you're all competing for that live music space, and they do all genres. That makes it even worse because, it's like, wow, I'm competing with this speed metal band, and I'm competing with this cover band that does Fleetwood Mac, and I'm a soul band, I'm a funk band, and it seems like most of the bands that this restaurant hires, is mostly one particular genre. So we're competing with all those things. And when they know that the competition, there's more, when a restaurant owner knows that there's more bands and they have, it's like a kid in a candy store, I guess. They have more reason to be picky and selective on what bands they let in the door. They will be selective. They'll say, okay, well, they know they get inundated with thousands, hundreds of emails from people all across, not just within your region or your state or your city, but people out of the country, people all across the United States. Maybe a band is on tour and it's like, hey, let's play at this such and such restaurant, this such and such bar in Hollywood, California. Well, guess what? You're competing with these other bands all over the globe. So the restaurant owner, the manager, the talent buyer, they know this, so they can be more selective and say, okay, well, we want to save money, so we're going to only have a cap of $400. Some restaurants and some bar owners, they've had a cap of $400, and they want to give you $400 for a 5-piece band. So $400 for a 4-piece band, everybody gets $100 each. $400 for a 6-piece band. Most musicians, most of your successful musicians or most seasoned musicians, they don't want to get paid $100 or less. Now, some musicians don't mind because they have a regular day job. I have a regular day job, but even I don't want to do $100 because I invested so much of my money and my time in my side hustle, me being a musician, that I don't want to take these $100 gigs. But I could still get offered these $100 gigs, and it irritates me. I don't want to be rude, but I have a nice way of saying it. That's coming up next. I'll give you tips on how to nicely decline. That's another video. Tips on how to nicely decline a low-paying gig and still being able to keep and maintain that relationship in hopes of higher-paying gigs being offered by this band that you establish good relationships with. You like this band manager, but it's okay to pass on gigs that you know that it doesn't pay as well as you like. It's okay. Anyways, with that said, back to my point about the restaurant owner. They'll say, well, the cap is $400. They won't tell you that. So, oh, well, that's a little too much. He said, well, I have a 6-piece band, and I'm trying to get everybody paid an equal amount. Do you think, because I have to split the money up evenly, and $100 per person is a little too low. Do you think you can increase it to about $600 so I can make sure everyone gets a decent amount, or $650 or $700 for the band? Oh, that's a little too much. We only offer $400. So good luck with trying to split. You see what I'm saying? You're trying to split $400 for a 5-piece band, 6-piece band. everybody's getting paid less than $100. The thing is, though, when you say no, I'm gonna decline on that. It's a little bit low. It's a little bit less paying than what I like to pay my musicians. These are working professionals. Some of these musicians, they do this for a living full time. The thing is, when you say no, there's always another band that's gonna say yes to these $100 gigs, these low paying gigs. There's always gonna be a band, because every band, some bands are just starting out, they're desperate. And that's the thing that irritates me and irritates a lot of musicians, because they keep these prices low. And these restaurant owners, these bookers, these restaurant managers, they know that. They know that. These bar owners, they know that there's always going to be that one band that says yes. And actually, it's more than that one band that says yes. There's always going to be that band that's desperate, that says yes to these low-paying $100 gigs. So they don't care. You say no, they're going to move on to the next band, and there's always going to be a band that says yes. That keeps the market value, that keeps the value low. Full disclosure, I know of musicians that have talked to me. We talk about this all the time. These bars, certain bars that they've played at, that have been open since like 1982. They've been paying musicians $400 since 1982. Still in 2023, they're still paying musicians, and I'm talking about they want a full band, $400. That hasn't changed. The cost of living increases every year, but yet the amount of money that these bars are paying these musicians has stayed the same. So think about it. You know why it stayed the same? Because they know that there's always going to be that desperate band out there that's always going to say yes. So know your value. You have to take into consideration, why would you take a $100 gig? Because we live in the world of inflation right now. So gas money, you have to include that. The mileage that it takes, the distance that it takes to where you're living compared to the gig, you have to factor that in too. You have to factor in, well, how many songs am I going to sing? For the cover band that's requiring me, and I'm just a sub, that's requiring me to sing and learn 30 songs for a 3-hour gig, yet they're only paying me $175, and I'm only subbing, and they're not going to have me on this gig, probably not for another year or not for another couple of months. Those are decisions that you have to make for yourself. Is that even worth it? You have to take into consideration. And it's not mean, and it's not a bad thing for a musician to think that. I know as a woman, as a female musician in it's a male-dominant, male-saturated world of gigs, bands, musicians, and performing live. I'm always the only female. So women have a tendency to think, oh, I'm a mean person, or I'm bad, or I'm not nice if I have demands and expectations and I want to do a gig for more than 100. I had to talk to my husband. He's like, no. He said, men always are not afraid to ask for a raise or ask for a promotion. Men are not afraid to ask for what they want. That's why they get the promotion. Women, stop apologizing. I know we always apologize for everything. Stop apologizing and stop being afraid to ask for what you're worth. If you know that you invested a lot of money in your equipment, you spent years working on your craft, you went to college and you got a degree or a master's degree in music and performance and anything music related, engineering, that includes that too as well. And you've just spent thousands and thousands of dollars and years, and just not only that, just practicing in private in your room, in your own private rehearsal space. Hours of practice, people practice daily. So you have to factor all that in. Gas money, your car, the distance of the gig, all those things come into consideration. So that's why I say, if you're a seasoned musician, if you've been performing for more than a year and you're no longer entry level, I'm talking about musicians that have been playing for about a window between 2 and 5 years. If you know you've been playing for longer, professionally for longer than a year, it's okay to increase your value. Please stop taking those $100 gigs, because you're hurting the amount of money that these public gigs are willing to pay us, and it hurts everybody. So it's like nobody wants to play anymore, because it's like, I gotta lug all this equipment over here, and play for 4 hours and only get 2 breaks. Or some gigs you have to play nonstop for 3 hours. You don't even get a bathroom break. And they're only giving me, I only get $100. Don't do it. You're hurting it for everybody. Another exception, I'm back on tip number 1. Another exception for taking a $100 gig or a low-paying gig or even a free-paying gig, of course, there's exceptions to the rule, is when you're doing a church gig, volunteer, when you're doing a nonprofit gig, and when you're doing a fundraiser. The reason why is because it's doing it for a higher cause. For church, of course, you're doing it because it's to help out the church. It's to help promote the worship of a higher power. It's helping to promote that. So it's okay to do a volunteer and to do it for free and provide your services, because the motive and agenda is not to not get paid. The motive and agenda is to serve your creator. Fundraisers, nonprofits, usually they're using that to raise money for a cause. Maybe they're doing to feed the children, or Compassion International, or they're raising money to feed homeless people. So of course, obviously, and they will tell you this is a volunteer gig. This is a volunteer. Would you like to play? Would your band like to play? Then that's a decision you have to make for yourself. It's okay to say yes to that, because the motive is not to make money. The motive is to help out a cause, a higher cause, and maybe donate your time, as well as you can also donate some money for that. I think those type of gigs or live shows, it's okay to say no. It's okay to say yes to those. So those are my tips for being a successful live gigging musician. Hopefully you found some of these tips helpful. Thanks for watching my video. Again, my name is Miko Reed, and my channel is called Miko Music. I give commentary on music, commentary on pop culture, commentary on relationships. I really appreciate it if you like this video and subscribe to my channel, and hit the notifications bell so it'll notify you of new up and coming videos that just have recently been uploaded. I look forward to seeing you again. Thanks for watching. Bye.